Hey guys, so I'm going to answer some questions that I've been getting on social media regarding health and fitness and some issues that people have been having. And I'm going to address it on video because I think a lot of people can benefit from seeing the answers and instead of me just privately, responding to them personally. So let's see here. So our first question is, what is your opinion on a 5x5 workout routine for someone on a low-calorie diet? Okay. So if you don't know what a 5x5 routine is, it's just basically doing an exercise for 5 sets of 5 reps. This was very famous in Mark Rippetoe's starting strength program. That's pretty much what the program was built on. It's basically doing generally a compound lift for 5 sets of 5 reps, and yeah, and it works great for beginners, intermediates. In general, the training itself is awesome, but okay, so a main issue people have with dieting and training is they try to, I guess, combine the two, but meaning like they'll try, let's say, like I've seen people try to like eat their way to bigger muscles, or let's say train so hard that to like burn fat. You know what I mean? So like what I like to do is I like to keep them mutually exclusive. So basically, here we have your diet, and I want to make sure that with your diet that's 95% of your fat loss is going to come from this only. Okay, and then the other side in the gym, we're here to build muscle. Like we're not here to do any crazy circuit training, things like that. I mean, that's where the mistake comes, is that people try to burn more fat in the gym as like a primary goal, and it should really just be like a benefit, a bonus. Think of it like a bonus. You get in there and you hit your workout hard. Your main goal was to build strength in there, and then after, oh hey, I also probably burned a certain amount of calories. And even then, man, those machines that you check and like they tell you, hey, today you burned 487 calories. Like, it's probably skewed. It's probably skewed about 100 calories, give or take. So I just think of it as like a bonus. I don't factor it in. I keep them very separate. You know what I mean? I let the diet control my waist, and I let the weights control my muscle. And I was taught this from John Barbin, author of the Adonis Index, and it really just made things so much simpler for me. So as far as doing this, the only drawback you might have is total volume, and dealing with total volume while you're dieting. So generally, a beginner might have this like all or none approach, where they'll basically go balls out in the gym and also go really hard on their diet. And what ends up happening, it's just like it makes like a storm for just failure, and they're gonna burn themselves out. So what I think you should do is focus your efforts on your diet, and as far as in the gym, lower the volume a little bit. Like, don't do as many exercises, don't do as many sets. Like, you want to keep it to the key lifts, and you want to make sure you're progressively getting stronger at those, because that's really going to make the biggest changes for you. Like, when I have a client and I look at where they're at, I like to shift it. Like, I like to have this principle of like 80% and 20%. Right. So basically, 80% of the efforts will go towards, let's say, their diet or their training, and 20% will go for the others. So let's say I got a guy who's who needs to add some muscle mass. We'll focus 80% of our efforts in the gym and getting stronger, and then 20% on dieting. And then as opposed to somebody who needs to drop some weight, I focus 80% of the efforts on their diet, because that's where they're going to make most of the progress. And then 20% on the training. So ideally, you're thinking of it like like you're sculpting, right? So let's say you have a good base level of muscle mass, and then you also here, hold on. So okay, so you have a good base level of muscle mass, and then you have some fat to lose, right? So what's gonna end up happening is when you're in the gym, training like 5x5 and anything training in that strength from like 4 to 10 reps is perfect, because what's gonna end up happening is, as you're building muscle and strength, and the fat's coming off from the diet, you're gonna start to see the shape of your body. Muscle gives you shape, and that's what you want. When you start getting carried away with different workout routines, they're just going to screw you over. And the workout routines that are very circuit based, if you do only that, it's not really going to benefit you at all. So yeah, the biggest thing is focusing on volume. What you could do is, let's say you could start your first your first exercise 13 reps, and then move to the second exercise 8 reps, and then go for the 5x5. Or you could do your first exercise a power set, anywhere from 1 to 3 reps, and then move to your 5x5. An important note about 5x5. It is you want to pick a weight that you can't do more than 7 or 8 reps with, and then stop at 5 reps every time. Because what ends up happening is people would pick a weight that they can't do more than 5 reps, and then their first 2 sets they hit 5, but then the third, fourth, fifth set they're doing only 2 reps, 3 reps, and they're hitting like 100% intensity. They're going to be so burnt out, and they're not going to be able to progress at all. So in your case, yeah, I mean that's a great way to go, man. It's just focus your efforts on your diet, because I mean what you do in the gym, as long as you get stronger, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Just get stronger. Focus on the key lifts. What about also 6 to 12 sets per muscle group? So these are some like general guidelines I would do. So yeah, sticking within those parameters that I was telling you about, and then just let the diet do the magic, man. That's really what it comes down to. And then progressively increase your intensity in the gym. Forget about the all or none. You're dieting hard, but you're also going hard as hell in the gym. It's just not going to work. You got to progressively get yourself there through smart training, and the diet will do everything for you, man. Let's see here. The next question. My thoughts on IIFYM. Okay. IIFYM, and no, it's not some crazy code or anything like that. So it's actually if it fits your macros. That's what it's called. It's a dieting style. It's basically counting the macronutrients per gram. Per food group. So let's say instead of this is the way I would look at food. Like year round, I would look at food as the label says 280 calories, right? So I'll be like, okay, that's what I ate, 280. I don't get too caught up in how much carbs, how much fat, how much protein. I like to focus more on how many calories when I'm just trying to maintain year round. When I try to dip into the single digits, like for my show, yeah, I start tracking the macros, because then it starts to make a difference. And that's a rule of thumb. Like with my own clients, I make sure that the first thing we focus on is how much food we're eating, and then we start getting to the nitty gritty. Because you just try to throw so many things at once, it's a recipe for disaster. Honestly, it's you can't change too many things at a time. You want to build habits. I read this from Nate Green on building habits bi-weekly or every 3 weeks, and it works wonders, because then a year or two down the road you build all these new habits that, like, your old dieting style, it's old news. So if it fits your macros, is great. The only thing I don't like about it is people who take to extremes. They'll look at food like, they'll get like a Pop-Tart and a protein shake and say, hey, if it fits your macros, right? Like, yes and no, you should be a little mindful of the kind of food you're eating, and I'm assuming you're not doing that. But you want to make sure you're getting enough fiber, enough vitamins, enough minerals, enough phytonutrients. These are some key things that things like Pop-Tarts won't have. So yeah, Pop-Tarts can have your daily amount of carbs and fat or whatever, but would I have that all the time? No. Like, I would prefer to have something higher in carbs, like whole wheat bread, brown rice, things like that, or even white rice. It doesn't matter. So yeah, so in general, it's cool. It's cool, but to make things so much easier, I just focus on how many calories in general am I taking in, and it simplifies everything. When you start trying to get down from like 12% body fat to like 8, then start worrying. Hey, I want to make sure that my fat's in check. The amount of fat I'm eating, but then my carbs generally would be higher, let's say. But if you're trying to dip to 12%, let's say 12% fat, body fat is your goal, I don't really get too caught up on that, on the macronutrient game. I focus on the amount of calories, and then I go from there. So I hope that helps you out. Let's see here. Oh, and by the way, you can use MyFitnessPal. I know there's like a ton of apps. Like, I've used that when I was cutting down for my show. It's cool because it gives you the total amount of calories, and it gives you the macronutrient breakdown. And yeah, if you count your macros and you add them up, you're going to get the amount of calories. It's just how specific do you want to get, and how much. I think of it like this: like how much more do you want to think about throughout your day? You know what I mean? Like in general, we're so like people are so busy. We have so many things going on. Like I try to make fitness as simple as possible, and unless I'm competing, unless I'm doing something of that sort. So that's just something extra I thought about. And so let's see here, the new question. Let's see here. I'm gonna drink some water. I'm thirsty. Okay. What's your opinion about carbs for dinner, aka sweet potato, quinoa, brown rice, lentil soup? Carbs for dinner is fine. Carbs at any time is fine. It's just when, it's just about finding out how much you need to eat per day to maintain your weight, or to lose weight, or to gain weight, and fitting it however you see fit. Like I know people like myself, for example. I've been experimenting with kind of let's say high carbs in the morning, and then low carbs throughout the day, and then higher carbs again at night, and it's been working well for me. In your case, experiment, try it out. Honestly, I've been trying this like just and it's not like you're going so out of your way to like not like you're doing some crazy experiment. You're just trying different variations of food and seeing how you respond to them. What you can do is you can maybe have the slower carbs like you listed, the sweet potato, the brown rice, the quinoa, and have that throughout the day, like in the like the lunchtime, and then at night maybe have the starchier stuff if you want. But here's the thing: the starchy stuff, like the cereal, the donuts, all whatever, they taste so good that your chances are you're gonna probably want to overeat it. Like that's why I don't like to eat too much starchy things, but again, it's so dependent on the person, and they try it. So in general, if your question is really about will the carbs make or break your results, not a chance. Like don't worry about it. It's not gonna affect anything. What to eat before bed if I'm hungry? You could have your breakfast before bed. Honestly, like why don't you skip out on breakfast? There's a lot of benefits to fasting in the morning. You have a glass of water, 2 glasses of water, even cold, and some gum, and then you push breakfast back about 4 to 5 hours, and then you should be fine. And then and what you would normally have for breakfast, let's say like a toast or cereal, you can push it back at night, and then it can be a great way to kind of kill that craving that you might be having, because I know you also asked me about having a sweet tooth. It can get rid of that craving, and you can have it at night. Or you said like you eat the lights, just make sure that when they say it's 0 calorie or low calorie, that it's actually low calorie, and it's not there's nothing hidden in there. Fruit at night, perfect. Yeah, you could do that as well. From what you're asking me, it seems like you like to eat a lot at night. So what I would do is I would make room for that, right? So by fasting throughout the day, let's say 4 to 5 hours, you wake up 4 to 5 hours, no eating, you have a full glass of water, you go about your day, you just don't think about being hungry, and it might be shitty at first, but you get used to it, and then you'll have all that extra calories to have at night. So let's say to lose weight, you need to eat, let's say 1,800 calories, right? And you can use MyFitnessPal and stuff like that. Like it's very easy to track. And then if let's say you look at your food, you look at your plate, and if you can measure your carbs, right, like with like a fist, that's 1 cup, and then if you can use your palms, that's about 4 ounces of protein, and it's very easy, and you can track that on MyFitnessPal. But anyway, you could do that. You could do that throughout the day you fast, and then at night you could have your sweet stuff, and your carbs, or whatever you prefer. Okay, and then what do you think about cheat meals versus cheat days, and cheat for lunch or dinner, and what's better on a day you train or on a no gym day? Okay, I don't like cheat anything, like cheat meal, cheat day, and the reason why is because it kind of implies you have kind of a weird relationship with food, that like let's say you're looking at 2 foods, and you look at them and you're like, hey, this is good, this is bad. Like, good and bad for who? You know what I mean? It's like you got to see how you feel when you eat certain foods. Like Like certain foods that might be great for me might be horrible for you, or some foods that might be really bad for me can be great for you. So it's about trying. It's about trying, the foods and seeing how you feel. Now, it also, it's your relationship with food too, that might be that just looks a little weird when you think of it like a cheat meal, a cheat day. Like instead of having a full blown day of just all the shit in the world you can eat, like I like to just split it up throughout the week, because there are certain days where you're gonna feel like eating like spot on and clean and whatever, and then there's gonna be certain days where you're like, hey, I had a shitty day today and I want to have some ice cream. You know what I mean? I want to eat something like sweet, and what, you're not gonna eat it because you have a cheat day coming up in 5 days, or you have you have a cheat meal. I mean, this is going to be my cheat meal, and then I can't do anything throughout the week. Like, nah, like you have 1,800 calories. Like we were saying before, you have 1,800 calories, and let's say the past 2 days you've had only 1,500. So you have extra calories. You have 600 extra you could have today and still be averaging out 1,800. You have 600 extra calories. You can go have ice cream. Like you can go do things. Like I never change my life to fit my diet. I used to do that and it just doesn't work. You got to change your diet to fit your lifestyle. So plan for things. You know what I mean? Like let's say, and sometimes it's very hard to plan. Like let's say you have a spontaneous thing coming up and you want to go out, you want to go eat, whatever, and have desserts. Go do it. Enjoy your life. Go have the food and don't feel guilty about it, because you can make up for it the next day. You could just fast, or you could eat less food the next day, and that's really just kind of like the key thing. I really hope people learn and get out of this, because it's very liberating. You know what I mean? To know how to balance your diet and your life, and know that, hey, I can eat this and be fine, because the next day I'll accommodate, or I'm in control. I'm in control of my body weight, and that's another topic for something else. But yeah, definitely, in your case, yeah, you could have a cheat meal if you want, but forget that. Like honestly, get into like the numbers game and figure out how much you need to eat, and where you're at, and then plan. Plan. You could say, hey, today I want to do this, or you don't even need to plan. Like you could, for that day you don't have to plan, but then the next day you can get back on it. Like 1 or 2 days, even a week of like bad eating, it's so small compared to the year that you have. So I guess you got to find the balance, but that's that. And then what's better, on a day you train or on a no gym day? I think it's preference. I think honestly, on a day you train, you could have a ton of food. You could have your surplus. You could eat your donuts. You could have your ice cream, whatever, and you can kill it in the gym because you have all those extra carbs. And then same thing goes for your off day, right? Like your off day, instead of dieting, you can be eating a lot, and then it can help you recover too. So there's 2 benefits. I don't think it matters, honestly. It's preference, and yeah. So let's see here. Does it hurt your development by working out on an empty stomach? Any advice for someone who works out first thing in the morning? No, honestly, it does not affect your development whatsoever by working out on an empty stomach. There's some research about protein synthesis and what happens when you have a certain dose of protein. A certain dose of protein. What happens to your amino acid levels in the body, and blah blah blah. But honestly, no, because at the end of the day, it's the net. And it's the same thing that goes for dieting. It's the same thing that goes for dieting in general. Like, all right, for example, you have you have a big breakfast. You're temporarily in a surplus, but then you're not eating, let's say, for 4 or 5 hours. You're temporarily in a cut. So all that matters is the net, is the end, right? So it's never like this guy. There's a guy named Eric Helms. You should definitely check him out. Who wrote an article on this, and it was amazing. Basically, it's saying that oh, my hands are hurt. So he's basically saying how when you're bulking, cutting, it's more transient than anything. So it kind of works like in a wave, right? So like there's certain times of the day where you're quote unquote bulking, and there's certain days where you're quote unquote cutting. So in the mornings, technically you're in a cutting phase because you just have slept the whole night without eating. So if you eat something, you're temporarily in that bulk. But what ends up happening is at the end of the week, or at the end of the day, the net is the decision maker, right, for your body. If you're at a higher net for that day, chances are you're going to be storing more fat. If you're at a lower net for the day, you're going to be burning fat. So it doesn't matter how you get there. You know, you could be in a bulking phase for like the first 7 hours of the day. You're eating so much food, but then towards the end of the night and to the next day, you're cutting. So at the end, it's just about the balance, right? It's like a balance beam. So sorry for that little rant, but yeah, so it doesn't affect your development whatsoever, honestly. And training fasted, I don't personally do it, but you could definitely train yourself to do it. You really have two options. You can wake up 2 hours earlier and have a nice breakfast, and then go hit the gym, or you can wake up and just have some green tea, maybe some pre-workout, anything with a little bit of caffeine to kind of get you going, and then yeah, you can go hit the gym. And you know what? You can actually start out with easier in your workouts, and then progressively get harder. Progressively do more work. Raise the intensity once you start getting used to the feeling of being fasted. Because chances are, if you're going fasted and you're going to do this crazy workout, it's not gonna end well. And yeah, so I wouldn't go about doing that. All right, and that sums up our first video Q&A. Guys, I love doing these videos, and I love helping people out, and clearing the misinformation for them. So leave me a comment. You could shoot me an email. I'm also on social media too. You could leave me a comment there as well. And let me know if you have any questions. If you guys like these videos, I can do more of these. Also, what I'll do in the description is I'll put which question I answered and at what time, and so it'll be kind of easier to flip through. And yeah, thank you guys. Have a good one.